Today I'm very excited to show you the DIY for the minimalist attachment method from Bullman Outdoors for the single step. The attachment method consists of a 7-foot daisy chain with 2-inch loops with a 20-inch finished end loops with 8-inch berries and a 2-slotted climbing rated buckle to finish off the attachment. To attach the buckle to the Amsteel, we're going to thread the buried end in one side of the buckle down and over the other, and then you're going to take that loop and fold it back and simply bring it back over itself and then pull that through, and that's going to attach that buckle to the Amsteel with a half hitch. And then we're just going to take the end of the daisy chain, run it through the step, and we're going to make an overhand knot. There we have our overhand knot at the portion where the whole portion before the knot is the doubled up buried portion, and that's going to keep that step from riding anywhere where it's not a doubled buried portion of the rope. Just to give you a quick comparison of the Amsteel attachment method, that's it wrapped up in there with the buckle. It weighs in at 1.2 ounces, and that's the size compared to 7-foot cam buckle strap weighing in at 3.7 ounces. So when you multiply that by 10 or 12 or however many steps you're going to use, that's a pretty significant savings. One of the biggest advantages, aside from the lightweight and compact nature, is how easy it is to attach. This method, you just hold onto the buckle, pull the daisy around, and then slide the buckle in whichever slot is tightest, and it's super simple to attach that way. With the cam buckle, you have to pull the strap all the way through, and with this you just slide it in there, and the same way with taking it off, just pop it off and it falls right off. If you wanted a little less play in certain positions on the tree, and instead of making a 2-inch loop in your daisies, you have a little room there. You can make it small enough where this just fits through there, and that would make the least amount of movement when you attach. Okay, before we get into the details on how to DIY the minimalist attachment method, I want to show you a great option to pair with that, and that's the new aluminum Pioneer tree step from Bullman Outdoors. It weighs in at 3.1 ounces, and even when wrapped in the silencing camo tape, you can take 10 of the steps with the attachments and put it in this bag, and it all weighs in just barely over 3 pounds. You can attach this bag to your saddle, you can wear it around your waist, or you can throw it over your shoulder, and at 3 pounds and 3 ounces, you'll barely even know it's there. And I'll put the link to the website in the comments below, where you can find everything you need to put this together. So we appreciate you checking this video out. Like every other climbing method, always be certain to test your daisies out at ground level. This video is only for reference, and Bullman Outdoors is not responsible for any incidents that may arise from your DIY daisy chains. Okay, we're going to start off by cutting one single strand of 7/64 Amsteel to 16 feet 6 inches. Okay, first thing we're going to do is lay our Amsteel out, and we're going to match up the ends, and on each side of the rope we're going to make 2 marks, 8 inches, and then again at 29 inches. We're going to mark both sides the same, and what that's going to let us do is make our daisies all the way down the length of our rope, and then when we get to this 29-inch mark, we know we're going to stop. That'll be the area where we make our last daisy, and then we're going to come up here to this 8-inch mark, and we're going to make our final brummel. And this 8 inches will be the part that's buried. This will be our loop, and the reason there's 29-inch instead of 28 inches is you lose about an inch when you bury. So that'll be the first steps we make. Okay, then we're going to keep the ropes or our ends together again, and we're going to, as we keep them together, we're going to slide it back, and basically we're folding the rope in half, and this is going to be the beginning of where we make our loops for our daisies. And although there are many ways to skin a cat, there's also many ways to make a daisy chain. And I personally use a piece of 17 gauge wire that I just fold over down to a little point, and that's going to go through the rope. And I'm also going to do my berries with this. And I use this little piece of wire to make the entire daisy. Okay, we'll show you these ropes. The thing with the daisy is it's a hollow rope. When you push it together, it kind of opens up, and this rope is actually hollow, and that's going to be an important piece that we're going to use here in a bit. Okay, we're going to start with the end of our rope. Make sure we have the ends still together as we get started, and we can refer to our tape measure if we'd like to find the 2-inch area. So we're going to make the 2-inch loop, and we're going to take this and we're going to push this rope apart so we can find the halfway point, and we're going to put this little contraption through there, and we want to try to make it as close to halfway as possible. You want to split the rope in half. It's very important that you split it in half, and that keeps it as strong as possible. Okay, once we have that rope split in half, you just take the other end, put it through that little piece right there, and then you pull it through with a little twist, and that comes through there. And it comes all the way through, like so. And we have, there's the part that we had folded for the end. That's a little less than 2 inches, but that's okay. We would rather it be a little bit less than a little bit more for this application with our small buckle. So this rope went through this rope, and now we're going to go back through, and we're going to take the rope that passed through this rope, and we're going to have it do the opposite. And so this rope is going to pass through this rope, and we're going to do that at the same point. It's important to get it as close as you can right there at that same point. So the rope that hasn't been split, we're going to find it right under where it was, where that one was split, and we're going to take and we're going to push that apart, and then we know that's going to be the area where we're going to go through. So we're going to go through the side of that, and the halfway, we want to make sure we're about halfway. You can check up both sides and look to see it's about halfway through both sides. And then we're going to take this other piece of rope and pull it back through. Do the same thing, put it through there, a little bit of twist. We're going to pull that all the way back through there, and now that's what that looks like at this point. And you pull that and that is your first locked brummel splice for your daisy. And then we're just going to repeat that all the way down the whole length of the rope. Okay, so we're going to make our second, and we're going to go from, we want it about 2 inches, maybe slightly under. Mark that spot, push it, and we want to try to keep it all on the same side of the rope. That way there won't be any twists. So we'll come on this same side and attempt to go straight through the middle, very close. And then we pull that back through there again. Okay, so we're going to pull that tight, and we're going to have, so this rope came through here, so now we're going to have this rope come back through here. So we're going to mark this one underneath here, right in that center spot. And again, we're going to try to stay right along this same edge, the same side, looking to be in the middle. This is what takes the time. It's not a hard process. It's just a timely process. A little bit of wiggle, get it through there. Pull that all back through. Here's what it's looking like there. Pull these two, pull the whole thing. Now you should test that, not going anywhere. And there you have two. Now you just continue on down the rope. Again, I want to reiterate, it's very important to split the rope in half as you are sending the rope through it, and that makes certain you keep as much strength as you can with the rope on your daisies. One more thing I'll show you. When you are pulling this tight and going directly under to make your second point where the rope passes through there, if you don't have it real close, almost right on top of each other, what could potentially happen, and what does happen, is you may have where one of the ropes is a little bit longer than the other, and it's not a huge deal, but it's just something you want to try to avoid. When you get them the right distance, there's no distance in between them. And then back to keeping things, trying to stay on the same side. You'll notice there that that rope is, there's a little twist there. It's not a huge deal, but again, it's just something that's avoidable with a little bit of attention to detail. Okay, so we have made our daisies, our 2-inch or smaller if you'd like, just enough to fit the 2-slotted buckle in there. Done them all the way down the chain, and we've reached a point where we're right at our mark. And you can go a little under, a little over, it doesn't matter. You can go a little over if you want to hunt smaller trees. You can go a little under if you're going to hunt a little bit bigger trees. So we get to that mark, and we're going to stop making our 2-inch daisies, and we're going to come down to the 8-inch mark where we have the part that's going to be buried, and we're going to make one last brummel splice. Remember, always keeping in the center of the rope. And there is our last our last brummel splice. Okay, so we have our last brummel splice, and here is our loop. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over, and this part is going to be buried down through there. That's going to be that bury on that side. This part's going to be buried on that side. When we pull it tight, you're not going to hardly notice. I'm going to pull this in two sections. Some people may do it in one. You could do it in three, but I'm going to show you in two. So we're going to find about the halfway point, and we're going to open up this rope. And I'm going to put it in on the bottom side because we're going to want to come out on the bottom side. It's not as critical where we go in. If you have that rope already opened up, it makes it a lot easier to get this thing through there. And once you get it going, make sure it's completely in the rope and not coming out any. It's fairly simple to kind of milk up through there. So you want to get it all the way to your splice, get it as close as possible, and then just come out as close as possible. And then you want to get the piece that's on that side and then just put it up through here. And this is the hardest part of the whole process, and I'm far from a professional at this part, but this is where you kind of milk the rope through there, and it works its way up through there. See that going down into there? You just kind of milk it. They call it milking it. I guess that's what it is. I don't know. I've never milked a cow. But you kind of pull that, get it to the back side, work part of it up. Just kind of a slow process, similar to a snake swallowing something. See it coming through there, and once it gets to the end, it just comes on out. And then there we are with half the one side. Now we just got to do the rest of it. And with this, you're going to want to come past the end. You're going to want to start past the end. So we're going to start it back about here, and we're going to start opening up this rope to go in with our next berry piece. Okay, so you can see we've started about an inch or so. We've gone in right in here, about an inch or so past the length of our berry. And then we just kind of open that up and just ease it up in there. And this isn't as important as some of your bridges may be full berries. This isn't as important. We're mainly just doubling this for just to make it a little more durable for our step rides. So we have that there. Now that's really close to that point. And then we're just going to pull it back through again. That whole berry milking snake swallowing a big old something or another process. This is the worst, the hardest part of it. It kind of hurts your fingers right in here from that 17 gauge. You could probably wear a glove takes me a little over a half an hour to make one of these things, I think, which isn't terrible, but as long as you're not making hundreds. So now it's out. We'll pull that, take that end and pull it tight, and that helps to lock in that piece up there. And then you milk it out down through here. And if you're lucky, there's no pieces sticking out down through here. See, we went that extra inch down here, and that made it where we didn't have any piece left over. And you can see where that point right there, where we came out and went back in with that berry, and you can't even hardly tell. So that's one side, and then we will do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so again, we're going to go about halfway, maybe a little over halfway, and we're going to pick a point, and we're going to start. We're going to make a place where our little tool can go in. It doesn't really matter where we go in. And then you just kind of open that up, and that tool just, it goes in really easy, really simple. But if it comes out, it just came out on that back side. Just pull it out a little bit. Go up through there. Okay, so then we've gone up through here, and we've come out as close to our knot as we can, or the splice. And then we're going to, again, we're going to feed this guy through here. And the good old milking process. Kind of work it up here in the front, work it down here in the back. A little bit of circular actions. And you split them in half, it's not near as bad as if you try to pull the whole thing. That whole berry can be rough. You split that, and then you see where that's your splice right there, and that's the berry, and you don't see a whole lot there. And then we'll come down through here again, go about an inch past the end, start working that open, and working our piece down through there. Okay, we have it all the way up through the rope, and then where this piece is coming out of the top, we want to come out as close as we can and on the same side as that. That way we pull it straight under on the same, at the same area on the rope, you know, as far as top or bottom, but that way it just buries and shows, and you won't hardly even be able to see where we splice that thing. There we go, we got her out. Go ahead and pull it tight to lock that up there, and then milk that thing down. And if you're lucky, you don't have any left. And there is your finished loop. Okay, so we have our finished daisy chain. This is a smaller version just for explanation. But this little part right here makes it a little bit harder to get through our buckle. So what I recommend, just to make it easier, is to go in through this end, and we'll go up one side and down the other, just like that, and then we're going to pull it all the way through. Till we get to the end, and we'll make sure that we're straight here, that it's not twisted, there's no X there, and we'll pull that thicker part through, making sure it stays straight. Keeping it all nice and even. And then when you get to that end, you just take this part and push it back over there. A half hitch, I believe they call it. And that's it. Have it all attached. Now you can put your step on. Alright, so we'll take our daisy and we'll come to the end, and again we're going to go through this end just because it's, well, now we have to actually. But we'll just take that through there, and we're going to be on this portion. And we're going to want to tie an overhand knot so our step can't ride on this single portion of the rope. We want our step to ride on this double portion. So we're going to just tie just a simple overhand knot in this portion here, and we want to try to keep that where it's right there, right at the edge of where the double stops and the single begins. And now you have your step attached to your minimalist attachment method. Okay, I'll show you how to fix, you didn't quite get it pulled correctly. Here's your loop. This one's been pulled 3 times. You can see it's wasn't quite as close as possible. You got a little bit of a rope left over, but I think that'll still be fine. But this here I don't like, and that's the end sticking out. So what you do is just reach down here and pull that out. You can re-pull the thing if you'd like, or you can reach down and just cut out a portion. This razor knife works real good, but just cut a little bit more off than was sticking out there. Do that, and then milk it back through, and it's gone.